Go to dailytechnewsshow.com/live and watch the show.
Churros. Let's be what? Bring your own churros night.
BYO churros.
BYOC.
I had a gingerbread man yesterday, and that made me happy because I like gingerbread.
Oh, I do too.
What do you mean you had him? Like you ate him?
Yes.
What else do you think? Yeah.
It's like,
if I said I had a sandwich, would you say the same thing?
Well, yeah, but there's no man in sandwich.
There's a witch.
Like if I had a man witch. It's like,
right. That's maybe the best almost time for the show moment I've ever experienced.
Anyway, it was a very delicious cookie.
Made by a man.
Made by a man. A ginger man.
I always feel bad eating them. It's too human-like.
Oh, I eat the head first. Just to be like, let's just get that out of the way.
Well, I guess that's the humane thing to do.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
You want to do it like Saddam's son, where you start with the feet first and watch them scream.
Now, am I dreaming, or was that a real like children's story? Like the gingerbread man who got eaten?
Yeah.
Run, gingerbread man. Yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that.
Run as fast as you can.
And I think that was sort of like, because of that, I'm like, this just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, and at the end, is it the fox or whatever that gets him because he's riding on its back?
I don't know. I don't remember enough about it. Only that like there was something really morbid about the whole thing.
So the whole thing about fairy tales and nursery rhymes and like that is because I've watched those Shrek movies. They're kind of twisted in with the way they did the movie where John Lithgow's character is torturing the gingerbread man slowly.
Okay. Sarah, could you read the cold open today?
I could, but will I?
Will you?
Yes, I will.
Oh, okay. Great. That's awesome.
May not. That's what you're supposed to say.
Yeah. Well, I needed to check if she was capable first. And then once we determine that.
I'm physically capable and willing.
Oh, quick update. Sorry. VineTube update. Boop, boop, boop. He wrote me back. He said, I got pranked. Somebody
no.
sent him a fake app.
Oh, it was someone else sent him that image.
Yeah. Well, no, he got an app through, what's it called again, Tom?
Test Pilot.
That is just a phony baloney app, because you don't have to do that through the App Store. You can send something that just loads, and then it was like a John Cena thing, and it was fake. So
all right,
got it.
Well, now we know.
Yeah.
All right, ready, Sarah Lane?
I am.
3, 2.
Daily Tech News Show is powered by you. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, December 6, 2017. From DTNS headquarters in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merrit.
And from Studio Feline at the beach, I'm Sarah Lane.
I am Scott Johnson from the coldest it's been this year so far. Salt Lake City.
Comfortably inside in his warm chair, not on a roof, Roger Chang.
It is I, not on the roof. That was this morning.
You were actually on a roof this morning, weren't you?
I was, my own roof.
We are going to dig into the idea of Bitcoin and how much power does it use, and is that bad for us in a little bit, but let's start with a few tech things you should know.
HQ, the trivia app, announced on Twitter that its app will come to Android on Christmas Day, December 25th. The app has tens of thousands of players a day, sometimes more, despite being limited to iOS currently.
Number seems low, doesn't it? To tens of thousands. I've seen hundreds of thousands. Anyway,
I have too. I think they're averaging. That's where that number.
Yeah, they must be over time. Research firm Magna reports it estimates $209 billion. That's billion with a B, spent on digital advertising in 2017. 41% of the market passing up TV for the first time, which revealed $178 billion in spending for 35% of the ad market. TV ad spending grew slightly, but digital grew much faster.
Yeah. Really bad news for print is what that is. But that's a milestone. Passing TV ads for the first time. And Google is using machine learning in pivot tables on Google Sheets to suggest pivot tables it can make for users who don't know what pivot tables are based on the data in the spreadsheet. No more having to go to your pivot table guru for this anymore. And those who know that that's a real thing. It also has the ability to answer natural language questions. So you could just write, how much revenue does each product category generate? And it should be able to give you an answer.
Great.
This is huge for people who use spreadsheets. I'm just saying.
I'm sure it is, but it's enough to, I mean, I needed a nap later anyway, so I want to thank you for that particular article.
All right.
I mean, I use spreadsheets every day, and I'm still not sure what any of this means, but spreadsheets have always been a mystery to me.
Ask your local spreadsheet guru. Now, here are some more top stories. Scott?
Microsoft has made its stylus-friendly collaboration tool Whiteboard out and available for public preview. The app allows real-time sharing of drawings, photos, and graphs on any Windows 10 system. Any Windows 10 user can download Whiteboard, but to save work to the cloud, you're going to need a Microsoft account. And to collaborate with a group, at least one member must be an Office 365 subscriber. So there are two caveats there. I'm actually pretty excited about this because I think Whiteboard in its various incarnations has been really cool. And this is the first time where I feel like people get some actual practical on-the-ground use out of it.
Yeah. All right, well, there's more good news this time coming from Amazon. Amazon Prime Video's Apple TV app is now rolling out to Canadians, folks in the UK and the US, and several other regions across Europe. Prime subscribers can sign into their accounts, watch Amazon Prime exclusive TV series, and a collection of movies, of course. The app can play Amazon's 4K video and also hooks into Apple TV recommendations. The app. Users can also tell Apple TV's Siri remote to search for Amazon content from inside the app as well. That's a nice touch.
I downloaded it first thing this morning. Took it for a spin. It plays videos.
Yeah.
No, it was the only reason I regularly used my Roku. Not that I don't like my Roku, but just because I didn't feel like switching back and forth. Everything else is pretty much being done on my Apple TV at this point. So.
It was one of the reasons.
Roll them all in my house.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time airplaying when I'm specifically needing something from them, and then I forget I'm doing that and use my phone for something else to look up something while something's playing and realize, oh no, I've interrupted the playback, and everyone in the room is like, what's going on? And so this will be a nice way to get that content and not worry about it. But it does feel like a hell froze over moment a little bit. It seemed like we were never going to get this, and that old feud would just fester and fester, but finally.
Yeah, I think Tim Cook originally announced, hey, this is happening about 6 months ago. So I guess they, within the year, they made good on their
promise. Made it, yeah, with weeks to spare. I think this is going to be huge because of that part about Amazon hooking into the TV recommendations app. I have found myself going from being skeptical, saying, I don't see why that app's any good, to using it regularly because of the things I'm watching on Hulu for the most part, but other things are showing up there as well. And now that Amazon is going to show up there, if I start using Apple TV to watch Amazon, which I do for lots of shows, suddenly I'm going to be relying on that to tell me what to watch. I'm going to forget what services I have. And I have found myself forgetting that I was watching things on Netflix because Netflix isn't yet plugged into that TV app. So that's another interesting aspect of this.
Sure.
Yahoo Holdings and Yahoo owner Oath, if you remember, Verizon bought Yahoo, then combined Yahoo with AOL and named the new combination Oath. So Oath filed a complaint against Mozilla last week, alleging an improper termination of an agreement between Mozilla and Yahoo. Mozilla has now filed a cross complaint claiming Oath, Yahoo, had a breach of contract themselves. Mozilla announced it would return to Google as its default search provider when it launched the Firefox Quantum browser back last month, mid-November. And they get to do that, apparently. According to Recode, the Yahoo-Mozilla deal includes terms that says if Yahoo is acquired by anybody, which they have been, then that company would be required to pay Mozilla annual payments of $375 million through 2019, even if Mozilla decided to walk away from their deal, which Mozilla would get the right to do because of a change of ownership. So Mozilla is saying, we didn't like the terms that Verizon was bringing to the table through Oath. We walked away. Contract says you have to pay us, cut and dry. So if you sue us, we're going to sue you right back.
It was the
apparently, according to this Recode article, this was something that Marissa Mayer, as CEO of Yahoo, had brokered this deal back in 2014. And, it was the sort of deal where you kind of go like, that would be a bum deal for Yahoo if it got acquired by a company that Mozilla isn't, real crazy about. But that in 2014, Yahoo didn't think this was going to happen. So it was terms of a deal that have now, come to fruition and nobody's happy.
Yeah, I guess I have a question about that dollar amount. $375 million just to direct your browser to them as the default search engine. I don't know why that seems like such a wildly disgusting amount of money.
It was a revenue guarantee. So the way it was supposed to work was Yahoo would never be acquired by anybody. How would that happen? And so we will guarantee to pay you $375 million in revenue share no matter what. The idea being we'll probably end up paying you more than 375, but if somehow the deal is so bad that it goes below 375, we won't pay you less. And also had this other implication of, I guess, if you walk away the deal because of change of control, you still get the 375 for nothing.
Yeah. Well, they took an oath, so.
Well, it didn't. Mozilla didn't take the oath. They rejected the oath, and now Verizon would like them to keep the oath.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, if you're looking for a new place to work, perhaps you'll be interested in a new study from Glassdoor. Glassdoor released its 10th annual Employees' Choice Awards, which ranks best companies to work for the following year. So this is for 2018, and Facebook has topped the list. In fact, it's topped the list again. It ranked number 1 in 2011, 2012, 2013, and this year, 2017. Airbnb didn't make the list at all this year, but it had the number 1 spot in 2016. Google was 2015, Twitter was 2014, and the list is based on employees who provide feedback to Glassdoor on their job, work environment, and company via an anonymous survey. And just so it's not like 5 people from Facebook saying this is the best and the results being kind of skewed. Apparently, Glassdoor will only release the survey results after 1,000 unique people have provided anonymous data.
And I always look at this survey with the idea that if you were going to say something on Glassdoor anonymously, it's probably more likely to be negative than positive. That's usually the way, is people who have a complaint are more motivated to go air that grievance than people who are like, hey, I think things are good. So I think it's a big achievement to win this list. Also, they put out the list for the next year. So Facebook is the company to work for in 2018 going forward. 2011, 2012, 2013, 2017. So they're on a roll here, although they missed a few years in there, for another year. And this year, it's not just the top tech company. They're the top company.
Right. Yeah. These are, I mentioned tech companies and their rankings, but yeah, this is like best company, again, according to a sample size of employees. But knowing a lot of people who work at Facebook or have worked there in some capacity over the years, besides, the luxury buses of shuttling people around and the fact that you do work on a big campus, whether or not that's your thing, most people I know have had, pretty pleasant things to say about comfort of working there, good cafeteria,
I feel like I should disclose that my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, works for Facebook, but then I feel like I'm in danger of anything I say after that reflecting on her an opinion for which I do not know.
Right. I would just give a quick shout out, though, to our friends over at Blizzard Entertainment. They made number 28 on the list. So well done, guys. Nice job. One of the few video game companies on here. Yeah.
It's funny that Airbnb and Twitter both pretty recently at the top of these lists, and now not on the list at all, either one of them.
Apple also, I believe, fell like 50 spots. It's in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I believe that Glassdoor made this top 100 companies, and it was like top 50 in the past. So technically Apple wouldn't have made the list either, except that now there are more.
I think the craziest thing is that Yahoo is number 65.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oath. 65.
It's still a better place to work than Apple, according to this ranking. So I don't know. Take that as you will. Cantor World Panel's latest ranking of China's phone market shows some stability in the rankings. It used to be from quarter to quarter, you'd see a wholesale change in first place to fifth place, new entrants popping up, old entrants falling out. But we're starting to see the same faces. And for Q3, the top 5 are Huawei, Xiaomi, Apple, Vivo, and Oppo. And the other indication that it's stabilizing is they now account for 91% of the market. That's up from the top 5 accounting for 79% of the market at this time last year. So it is consolidating. Huawei generally dominates the urban market. Oppo and Vivo are focused on the rural retail market, putting retail shops out in rural areas. Xiaomi still leads in online, though they've been staying in the top 5 by adding more retail presence as well. So they're sort of straddling that world. And Apple's kind of locked up the luxury market. If you're looking for that premium phone, it's an aspirational model. That's what Apple is doing. Interestingly, Samsung off this chart. 2.2%. It's not that they're not in the market. They just aren't doing a good job of selling in China.
Wonder why that would be. Like, seems like Samsung has got, if anyone's got the momentum, the sort of, I don't know what to call that. You know, they're kind of killing it everywhere else. Why they're struggling or not doing as well in China is strange to me. I expect, honestly, of all these names, I expected Apple to be at the bottom, just given the fact that it's this primarily, you know, American centric and maybe European centric company, and it didn't seem like things would go well for them like it doesn't for Microsoft in Japan for gaming, or, you know, some of these other companies just struggle in certain territories. But seeing Samsung way off the chart is weird.
Yeah. I mean, you know, off the cuff analysis, this could be entirely wrong. I could see Samsung not being able to capture the luxury market for whatever reason, and they are a high end phone, but also not being able to capture the Android market because Huawei, close to being as good of a phone as Samsung, but at a cheaper price and a local company, they could be caught in that mushy middle there, where they just kind of can't get any traction with any of these sectors. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. It is a way, in like 5 minutes or less, you're up to speed every day. Don't have to feel bad if you miss an episode of DTNS because you stay up to date. You can get it as a podcast on the Amazon Echo, as a flash briefing on the Google Home, and in the Anchor app. Go subscribe. Enjoy. And that's a look at our top stories. All right. So yesterday, Scott, you tweeted out a link to Eric Holthouse's article, Bitcoin Could Cost Us Our Clean Energy Future. It's not a bad article. It's on grist.org, but it sort of takes some things as facts that are in a bit of a dispute. So going from these high estimates of the amount of power it causes to mine Bitcoin, he then makes the argument that this could be bad for the climate. It could be bad for sustainable energy because it's going to make the power grid unstable. So I went and looked around to find some good articles that really dug into how these estimates are made, how much do we know about Bitcoin mining, and I found the good one. If you want the short version of today's show, go read Wired's Nicole Kobe. We have a link in the show notes. She has an article called How Much Energy Does Bitcoin Mining Really Use? It's an excellent article. If you're wondering, okay, well, why does Bitcoin use a bunch of power at all? The simplistic version is that computers, when they mine Bitcoins, have to solve difficult math problems. So you work and work and work to solve this math problem. Part of the result of that math problem is the creation of the blockchain that allows everybody to have the ledger of who transacted what. And if you're the first computer to solve it, then you get the coin. The faster computers solve the problems, the harder the problems get to solve in order to keep the pace of new coins on a regular pace of issue, right? That means more powerful computers are needed in order to mine coins.
But it never really like speeds up the process.
No. The idea is to keep the process like there's a Bitcoin every so often, and that's it. And so if Bitcoins are worth a lot of money and they keep going up in value, which they have been, then you spend more money to throw more computer power, which then speeds up the processing, which then makes the math harder to slow down the processing and keep the pace. All right. So back when I first started toying around with Bitcoin in 2010, you could mine it on a desktop computer. You can't do that anymore. In fact, you pretty much
can you. Why can't I understand that it's gotten more difficult? But why couldn't you just do it and it would take a really long time?
Because you'll lose. I mean, yes, you can mine. You'll never mine a coin because someone with these higher dedicated machinery will always
just
beat
gonna leapfrog.
Yeah, it's like Elon Musk is there with his boring company and his giant thing that's digging through miles of mountain, and you're there with
the company called boring, not really actually boring.
Yeah, and you're just kind of like whacking at it with an ice pick, and it's taking forever.
That's a good analogy. So you need this dedicated machinery. You need these high-end server-like machines. Some people even have server farms just to mine Bitcoin. Estimates are hard to make, though, because nobody really knows who's mining Bitcoin and how much power they're using. So you have to make rough guesses. They're educated guesses, which is why I'm not coming down on poor, not poor, but on Eric Holthouse at Gist. He's just using a set of estimates. But these estimates are hard to pin down. Digiconomist is the one that a lot of people point to. It frequently, or currently estimates that around 3.4 gigawatts are used to mine Bitcoin. However, several cryptocurrency folks who are fans of cryptocurrency dispute the accuracy of the estimate. A 2014 Irish researcher, Carl O'Dwyer, and his fellow researcher, David Malone, estimated between 100 megawatts and 10 gigawatts total being used for Bitcoin back then. Malone now estimates it's half a gigawatt. He's changed his estimate. In 2015, researcher Hass McCook pinned it at 120 megawatts. A 2016 paper in the International Symposium on Computer Architecture said the power used by these server farms, they're called ASIC computers, and purpose-built data centers of specialized mining equipment is somewhere between 300 megawatts and 500 megawatts. So the ranges that all have justification for how they're estimated are between 100 megawatts and 3.4 gigawatts.
Jeez.
So it's either, well, it's actually cheaper, it's super easy to mine, or it's real expensive. So as the mining gets more efficient, the coin gets more valuable, miners throw more resources at it, raising the difficulty, and the methodology that you use to estimate that changes. Annual electric consumption in the world is 2.3 terawatts. If you estimate, if you just look at, okay, here's the number of coins being mined, here's how difficult it is to mine. If you used standard CPUs, if you said, yes, everybody's using a standard desktop computer to mine, you'd calculate 450 terawatts as what's being used, even though only 2.3 terawatts are used worldwide. So that's, of course, not happening because we don't see that much power being used. So you have to estimate a range of hardware, and that's where the guessing comes in. How many people are using these high-end ASIC servers? If you estimate all of them are using these power-efficient ASIC servers, that's when you get that really low estimate. But the fact of the matter is nobody's actually that efficient. Some people are using less efficient machine. Although Digiconomist uses a cost method. As the price of the Bitcoin rises, they sort of estimate how much would it make sense to spend on your machinery in order to make a profit.
Yeah, I mean, that's my question is like, okay, if I was in the position to open up a server farm dedicated exclusively to Bitcoin mining, I was going to take it really seriously. What is my upfront cost? What is my like monthly management cost, you know, against getting a Bitcoin and whatever Bitcoin's value is by the time I'm done?
The problem with that method is that some people may be acting irrationally and assuming like, you know what, we think it's going to just keep going up, so spend it all for the most efficient machines you can get. Other people may not be that attentive and just like, we know we're running hot. We're not perfectly efficient, but whatever. Just keep using the machines we've got. So you can't really get a good estimate that way, although it is an educated guess.
So the whole Bitcoin thing in general can tend to have a little abstraction around it, and people have a hard time, myself included, completely getting their heads around it and understanding it from top to bottom and how it works. And all this diversity you've just described in hardware and power consumption adds to that abstraction. I had an experience very much though on the ground with a friend of mine up the street. His name is Zane, and he built a server to do nothing but mine Bitcoin all day. Mm-hmm. And he has an array of 8 high-powered video cards where he has configured it to use those GPUs to do the number crunching and everything else. And he told me his electric bill went up $300 a month because of this single computer, which doesn't actually calculate in my head because I don't know how it's using that much power. But the point is, you also have in this mix of abstraction people with maybe some actual experiences. I would be so cool if somebody listens to this show who runs or maintains a server farm where this is happening all day and what you've been faced with from a power perspective. Because I think it's interesting. At some point, though, you have to wonder if everybody started mining for Bitcoins, and we all had a little piece of hardware to do this, that has to have some effect. Now, whether it ever does anything to the 2.3 terawatts that we currently use as a planet, I don't know. But I find that fascinating because it seems like it seems like a really tricky number to find.
Yeah. And this is the problem. It certainly uses a lot of energy. Is it a danger? It's almost impossible to say. If you pick just a point in the middle of the range, it's not a danger. It's just electrical intensive. And it's certainly not the only electricity intensive industry we have. For instance, Harold Franken, associate professor at Netherlands Open University, thinks that Bitcoin probably uses between 0.8 and 4.4 kilowatt hours per year. And he's on the low end. Remember, Digiconomist thinks it's much larger than that. But he says, look, compare that 4.4 kilowatt hours. Let's use the high end of his estimate. Compare that to the 138 kilowatt hours per year used for gold mining and recycling, or the 11 kilowatt hours per year used for paper notes and mining coins. There are other monetary instruments that use a lot of power to maintain themselves. And US data centers consumed about 70 billion kilowatt hours of electricity in 2014. So just running normal data centers that power search engines and Netflix streams and all of that uses a lot of energy too.
Yeah, I mean, I bet there's all sorts of things we could start questioning ourselves about. How much energy, if you could quantify it, does it take to run Netflix every day and have everybody consume that? Is that worth it? Is that more important than power consumption savings? Like, you can get into a real, I don't know if you'd call it a moral argument, but you could talk a lot about priorities and come up with a lot of perspectives on what should be, what should consume what power and what shouldn't. So I don't know why this should be any different, other than it's kind of controversial and new and weird to people, and that'll all come with time.
Well, I think a lot of people rightly just say, look, let's be careful. Let's not get over exuberant. On the one hand, let's not get over exuberant about a market that might crash and end up being worth nothing. Let's also not, waste a bunch of power and get ourselves in a bad situation, either by destabilizing the grid or affecting the climate or whatever, for something that doesn't end up being worth anything. So it's worth paying attention to. I wouldn't panic about it, though.
It also, just the conversation we just had about wattage and what does it cost? And well, it depends on who you ask and, what their machines look like. And no wonder everyone on my Facebook feed is like, cryptocurrency. Let's talk about it. What is it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of fun.
It's like the more you unpack it, the more you're like, oh, there's a lot of levels to this.
Yeah. Cryptocurrency. How does it work? A new spinoff show on DTNS.
Hey, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. If you got a blog post about your cryptocurrency mining operation, submit it there. Also, our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/dailytechnewsshow. Let's check the mailbag, Sarah.
First email comes from Daniel. He's chalky in our chat room. And he says he's cold and miserable in the UK. Sorry to hear that. Just wanted to add some context to the childish bickering between Amazon and Google. It's worse than watching our British MPs, members of parliament. Daniel says, this is double standards. Take Apple, right? Apple doesn't allow casting of Apple Music and video, as far as I'm aware, on Chromecast either. They pulled all the Nest products from the Apple retail stores because they don't support HomeKit and don't sell Chromecast either. Yet there's still an official YouTube app available for Apple TV and iOS. Surely if it's good for one company, it's good for the other, right? I don't see Google selling Amazon Fire TVs in their store either. Google needs to pick up their toys and get back in the pram. In the end, it hurts consumers and leaves a bitter taste even more than it hurts Amazon. I'm not going to go out and buy a new 4K streaming box just so I can watch YouTube, especially not a Chromecast Ultra, because I have to use a separate device. It isn't practical for my less technical partner and doesn't integrate with my Harmony remote setup, especially when Google could just throw a tantrum with Roku, etc. at a moment's notice.
I mean, Chromecast works with my Harmony, so I'm not sure what he means by that. But the general principle is taken, which is this is a spat and we lose. That's who ends up losing. If Google's in a spat with Amazon, Apple's been in a spat with Google, Apple's been in a spat with Amazon. They partially make up here, but not there. Nest products aren't on sale at Apple stores or Amazon right now because they're all in a fight with Google. Even though Nest isn't Google anymore, it's part of Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google. It's just a mess, and it just makes it inconvenient for us.
Yeah. So I would remind people that Nintendo had a fight with Amazon that resulted in a lot of gnashing of teeth by fans.
Forgot about that.
Get games there, but could not get hardware there. And now that's resolved. Why? Because the Switch is a giant seller and Amazon like a little taste of that. So this stuff tends to come around, but these are two monstrous companies having it out at our expense, and it's a little annoying.
Yeah. All right. Charles is the next person we have an email from, who wrote in to say, I decided to up my pledge from the Nickelbackers, which is the production assistants, to the Quarterbackers, the associate producers. So a couple of Nickelbackers who had to drop are now covered. Thank you, Charles.
Charles.
So if you had to drop your pledge recently because you hit some financial difficulties, Charles picked you up. Thank you, Charles. He says, I don't make as much as I'd like, but I have enough blessings in my life that I could share a few. So thank you for the insight that this show has added to my personal and professional life.
That's awesome.
Warm and fuzzy holiday email.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charles. And also thanks to Scott Johnson with us every Wednesday. Scott, what is going on in your life?
Oh, lots of things, but I'm only going to tell you
about.
Tell
us everything. Start from the beginning.
I'm going to tell you about one and one only. No, here's what you should do. If you find me at all interesting when I come in here on Wednesdays and you're thinking, what's this Scott guy all about? Well, you can find out at frogpants.com, where everything I do is linked there. All the shows I run, other shows with Tom, in fact. I do a morning show. I have video game shows. I have all kinds of stuff. There's art linked there. So go check it out and follow me on Twitter if you are bored and want to hear me ramble. It's at Scott Johnson on Twitter.
If you want to be like Charles, you can back us on Patreon. We've got perks for all levels. There's an exclusive RSS feed that includes extra bonus content from before and after the show. There's also a Slack channel at upper levels. There's a weekly column from me. It's all available at patreon.com/DTNS.
Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2130 UTC at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. Thanks to everybody who joins us live, but of course you can listen or watch after the fact as well. Our website is dailytechnewsshow.com.
Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
I hit the wrong button there.
Yeah, it sounded all right.
Why did Melania Trump just email me?
What?
Oh.
I mean, she didn't personally email me.
She's like, hey, Sarah, I haven't heard from you.
You've been chosen as one of our top supporters to receive a chance at the first batch of official 2018 Republican National Committee calendars.
Oh, very nice.
And then...
I wish it said help. I wish the subject line was help.
Okay. All right.
I'm not getting political. I'm just saying.
That's political.
It's a little bit political, but...
It's real political.
Okay, it's super political.
I don't, this calendar or any calendar, my mom, every year she would give me a 365 days of kittens calendar. You guys have all seen those. It's like a different kitten every day of the year.
Oh yeah.
And then, each month has like the featured kitten, and then you have your individual days. And, she and I, for years, every Christmas, one of my presents was the kitten calendar for the next year.
Oh.
And a couple of years went by where...
Listen, let's not get political.
How do I do this without getting political? A couple of years went by where I was like, yay, the kitten calendar. And then it never got hung up anywhere because I don't really have physical calendars anymore. And then finally I was like, Mom, don't spend the money on the kitten calendar because I'm just not using them anymore. And I just felt bad about it.
I feel it's weird. I have a 365 day, I have a perpetual calendar that my grandma made in the 70s. And it was hanging in her house above the dining room table for years and years. And then when she passed away, I got it. And I've used it. And I keep wondering, do I need to keep updating this? Do we even need a calendar? But every once in a while, I find myself looking at it because it's there. But if it wasn't there,
yeah,
I'm not sure I'd need it.
I mean, and there's, for a long time, I really did, if there was something that needed to happen, the calendar was hanging in my kitchen. Wherever I lived, it was always in the kitchen, and you write it down and then you're looking at it all the time. At some point, I got away from that. And now I can't imagine doing it that way again, because I'd be like, that's just another place I got to write something in. I'm already doing it on, all my other calendars, my digital calendars. But anyway, so no, Melania, I will not.
Don't need a calendar. Thanks, though.
But it's not about you. It's about the fact that I just don't need
a calendar. Thanks. Bye.
I use a calendar, but I can't have any of the ones that are fancy, with the pictures, because I write over everything. So I need like a lot of white space to write.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had all those kittens, you'd just be defacing the kittens.
Well, it's like, doctor's appointments, pay this bill,
You
move the car.
over there's white space along with your photo.
It's on the side of my fridge.
Audrey writes real big.
No, I do. I wear glasses for a reason. I'm glad you guys take amusement at physical deficiency.
All right, settle down. Not get political about your eyes.
All right, let's get political about the titles.
Yeah, what are we going to call this show?
The matter with get it, Watts.
Oh, I like this one already. Good work, Fred.
What is a pivot table?
What is it?
Watts.
The matter with Bitcoin.
Watts up.
Oh, got it. Yes, very good.
Sheets pivot table. Oh, Sheets pivots pivot tables. Tom has spies everywhere. Mozilla has altered the deal. Boring Bitcoin. More watts than answers with Bitcoin. The real cost of Bitcoin about 1.21 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts.
Watts the buck Bitcoin. Start talking with Scott about Bitcoin again. It plays videos. I like what's the matter
with Bitcoin. Yeah, Steam stopped taking Bitcoin because they're like, we don't know how to price things right now because it keeps going up. So we're stopping that. Too volatile.
Maybe they should accept gold.
Ooh. Back to the digital gold standard.
Steam returns to the gold standard. You can only buy Steam downloadable content with gold.
Yeah.
I would expect some genius out there to figure a way
Steam stops taking Bitcoin. 2 days later, Steam announces new cryptocurrency, Steam coins.
Get your steaming pile of coins right here. Steaming pile.
Is that your steaming pile song?
Yeah. It's based on another song.
So what's the matter with Bitcoin? I'm guessing. It seems to be the unanimous favorite.
It's the banana favorite.
What's the matter with Bitcoin?
So what can you do with Bitcoin? Well, it holds value. Can you eat it? Well, it holds value. Can you drink it? It holds value.
Same thing with the dollar bill. What can you do with a dollar bill?
I can burn it and keep myself warm.
Yeah, and you can do the same with Bitcoin by mining it. It keeps your whole house warm. All those servers.
Whoa.
Unless you're using one of those efficient ASIC servers.
They're rebooting War Games. Sorry, just saw this.
Yeah.
They're rebooting the computer from War Games.
Oh, they're good. Would you like to play a game? No, it's 80. This says here, War Games reboot teaser. The 80s hacker movie gets upgraded as an edgy interactive series.
Series?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, wasn't there War Games 2? Like, it was really bad though.
I don't remember.
It was like a
not
straight
starring
to video.
Matthew Broderick or anything.
No, it was like a straight to video.
Yeah.
No, really.
Movie released. It was really bad. It just didn't make any sense. The first one didn't sort of make sense either, but
I don't think I've seen it since it was, a new movie. And I know at that age, I didn't really understand what I was watching anyway. I know it was like about computers and it was dangerous.
I remember my cousin claims his elbow is in the movie War Games because he worked. He worked at the Air Force base where they shot parts of it.
Oh, that's funny.
He's like, oh yeah, look closely, you'll see my elbow.
That's so funny. Where was it shot?
It was someplace in Missouri.
Or where was he anyway?
I think he was in Missouri at the time. He was in a bunch of different places. So.
I get it. College campus or somewhere that they were.
Yeah.
Shooting.
No, he worked in a nuclear facility, like a nuclear weapons facility.
Ooh.
He wasn't one of the guys with the keys or anything.
See, I don't even remember the movie.
No, I'm just talking about
you shouldn't play games when it comes to war.
The keys thing is just how nuclear weapons, how they...
Unless they're actually really just games.
The whole idea was that they would have computers decide when to launch the missiles instead of people. And then a computer gets out of hand. Which
one time a computer said that missiles were being launched at the United States. And if we had followed protocol, we would have launched in response. It turned out the computer was in error. And because someone said, I don't think this is right, and didn't launch them, we didn't have nuclear holocaust. And I believe that was the inspiration for the movie.
Yeah. What's disturbing is that happens more than once in real life. But didn't have a happy name like Whopper for the computer.
Colossus.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Fate Sealer. Judgment Machine. And it just turns out to be like a pocket calculator, a graphing calculator.
Yeah,
That's
like
just
a
the
TI.
judgment
Well,
machine.
honestly, a pocket phone is more powerful than those computers that were running the nuclear system back then.
Back then, they still run them now. Did you see that whole thing? They're actually keeping the old systems, the ones that, and not the big floppies that are like 5 1/4, but the super big ones that were like 8-inch floppies. It's just because it's like, well, there's no way to hack this because it's so old.
Which is good.
Yeah. I need an 8088 processor.
Oh man.
So you run out of experts that know how to maintain those systems because nobody uses them anymore. We need a guild, the guild of the ancient computer sysadmin.
Oh man. Can we wear robes and hoods and all that?
Sure.
Okay.
It's our guild. We can do whatever we want.
However, it promptly goes out of business when someone learns to make a compiler that automatically translates.
Wait a minute. Has someone started the guild of podcasting?
I don't know. Is there a podcast?
They
guild? Podcasting guild.
We should look into this. Maybe we should start a guild.
Let's do a guild. It could be
I
all
want to be in it. Yay.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I think we're the founding members right here.
Yeah, I think this is it. And
we are the forefathers.
Do we get to have an award show like all the other guilds do?
No.
Yes.
Televised on ABC?
We don't make it public.
With a red carpet on E for 4 hours before the show starts?
Yeah, this needs to be very Dan Brown, very secrety and stuff. That's what I want.
No, we're going to be Dan Brown. We're going to be all about the secrecy.
Oh.
But we are going to have the awards and the red carpet. We just won't have the ceremony or tell people who won.
We'll have a ceremony, but it won't be as brash or as expensive.
Because you know what no one wants to watch? The people, you know, the acceptance speeches and the long waits. They just want to watch the good. We'll just have the good parts.
Yep.
The fighting, the back talking, the stuff they do on stage.
Oh, I love award show season. We're getting there.
Robes, award shows. What else do we need for our guild?
We need harp music.
Harp music?
Yeah, harp and chanting. Like
I
some
don't
sort
feel
of
like our guild is a harpy guild.
like a Gregorian chant. Like when we enter the we'll call it the monastery, but it's just an office
Those are
building.
two different things, harps and Gregorian chants, but we can have both.
Well,
That's
you wouldn't play them at the same time. One would be ambient music, other would be ceremonial music.
That's for the red carpet, as people are going down the red carpet.
A harp is it really sets a mood, you know?
It really does. Yeah.
And it's great. It's great. Good harpist, wonderful. But
I think we need a lodge.
Not a black one, please.
No.
I don't want to be in there.
Nope, me either. No, Bob.
What about a sweat lodge?
Yeah. Sweat lodge.
Yeah. Hey, can you get us some cheap mountain real estate there in Utah where we can build our lodge?
Well, it's not as cheap as it used to be, but yes.
All right.
All that stuff.
Well, what about all that recently freed up land? Is any of that cheap?
Yeah. Well, wait. Are you a fracker? Because we can get in easy if you're a fracker.
Maybe our guild could engage in some fracking.
Yeah, let's get some fracking going.
If it gets us the land, we could look into that.
Political. People not political at all.
No. And not fracking for oil. I'm thinking more like Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, wait a minute.
We'll call it fracking for oil, which is someone's name.
We're fracking great. That's what we are.
We'll have hash browns and sausages for hors d'oeuvres.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Roger has very specific ideas about this guild.
Yeah.
Harps, Gregorian chants, sausages.
Hash browns and sausage for hors d'oeuvres at our fracking site.
So it turns out like the entire cafeteria is just basically a Denny's.
Where did we have a cafeteria?
We will. You need a cafeteria. You can't
Guild
run these
members
off.
gotta eat.
No, we have a kitchen, and then a man in a like velvet suit comes out and brings you your food. We don't have a cafeteria.
We'll call him Denny.
And we'll call it Denny, and it'll be Denny's kitchen.
Oh, nice.
So,
and he can have moods over his hammy.
Yeah. You have to explain it to him how to make it.
It's starting to feel like a nightmare.
Yeah, okay.
Like The Shining.
Fine. Well, fine. The robes can be bathrobes. Everyone can walk around in bathrobes. Giant
Why?
towels.
No.
Why? No, it's not what we want.
Get dressed, please, guild members.
Why are you saying that as if you're giving in on a point? Like, okay, fine. You guys could have your... Nobody wants bathrobes.
No one wants that. All right, if I'm going to be in a guild, I want to be wearing a bathrobe, okay?
You just said sweat lodge. You don't go to a... I mean, you're going to go into a sweat lodge in khakis and a button-down shirt? No.
Okay, you're right. You're right. A appropriate sweat lodge attire would have to be
all right.
Thought about.
Now you're making sense. Now that you're making sense, I think we can end the show. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Bye.
Bye.